Hello. So I thought I would share with you a binding ritual spell that I channeled while working with Satan. So it comes from a reliable source, I would believe, and my cats are trying to chase around my um, thing on my book. So I'm going to wrap that up and hold it up here. I've been away for a couple days, so they're very excited that I'm home. Anyways, so the purpose of this particular ritual spell is it's sort of a triple action binding spell for someone who is a toxic narcissist or a person that has parasitic, vampiric, emotional, and energetic draining properties. So this is something you wouldn't want to use in a typical binding spell. You really want to use this when you're like, fuck, I have no other choice. Because, this person is either, psychically attacking you by draining your energy or leeching onto you. And this spell is to bind them and bind their energy and reflect it back at them so they can't harm others, basically. So it's a little bit more on the baneful side, but not entirely, because you're not really hexing or cursing the person per se. You're it's a binding and protection spell for yourself and your own energies and emotional stability. Because some people unintentionally, they don't know it. They aren't like, I'm a practicing psychic vampire. They're just like that and have a parasitic nature to them. So, you might find yourself after dealing with a kind of person like that, you don't even have to be in the same room with them. And suddenly you are just drained, like you feel like the marrow has been sucked from your bones. And you're just emotionally depleted and energetically depleted. And they do this not only to you, but to other people as well. So, and if they're a toxic narcissist on top of it, they're feeding off of that energy, and they may not be aware of it, but it's not the kind of thing you could be like, hey, could you not? So, I channeled the spell. I was deep in meditation, got pushed out of bed at 3 a.m. and was stumbling around my altar and kitchen, constructing this and putting it together. And I wrote down the notes the next day based on the carnage of what I found all over my, first floor afterwards. So the first part of the spell, and you can substitute different things for parts of this. I used a figure candle, and if you're going to use a figure candle or even just a regular kind of chime candle, I would suggest using a black candle. So what I did with the figure candle, the base was a little wider, so you could inscribe the person's name and birth date if you have that information. So I'm just going to demonstrate this using a little chime candle. You could also use a taper candle, something like that as well. So one of the things I suggest picking up, they're really handy, is you can get these little candle carving tools, which make carving into the candle. So you carve, the person's name. You could do first name, last name. Sometimes people have really long names, or you might not know their last name. If it's an online person, and their date of birth, if you have that information. So that would be the first step. So what I then did was I took I would also suggest using very thin paper. So I would use like a thin paper. This is actually flash paper that like magicians use. You can use this in spell work, like if you want to write something and burn it real quick. So it'll just go poof. Either that or like a thinner parchment. Like the typical parchment paper is a lot thicker, especially if it's like the sheepskin kind of parchment. So obviously I wouldn't need the whole thing. And what you would do with the piece of paper then is you'd write the person's name, date of birth if you have that, the commands for the spell, like I bind this person from harming others by, I bind them from taking the energy and feeding upon the emotions and things like that. Because a lot of times people like this will create negative situations in order to feed from them, even though they might not be aware of it. So I would put the commands on the paper, and I'm just going to tear a little piece off for the demonstration. What I then did was I wrapped the candle with the little petition paper. And then you can use, I prefer to use yarn because it's a little more stretchy, but if you have ribbon or something like that, that's fine. And I used black yarn, and you just kind of coil it all the way around as you're sort of going like, I bind you, kind of reciting the commands over and over and over again. So we'll pretend this is completely bound. So that was the first step of this. The next step I did, so for the double binding action, is if you take, this is just a bag of Spanish moss. And that's used in a lot of like binding and banishing and hex work. So you're going to take, a lot of times it comes in these sort of little kind of thready pieces. And then after you've bound the candle, you could use a poppet, anything, a doll, whatever you're using to represent that person. And then you're again going to wrap the whole candle with, and I'm making a mess because this was a very messy thing. You're just going to bind the whole candle in the Spanish moss. And my cat is trying to play with the yarn, which I believe she was doing when I was doing this actual ritual. So the next piece you'll need, and I'm just going to show you this because I don't think I have any jars handy. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing because it was kind of smelly. I'll show you the finished project. I ended up using a larger jar because I used a figure candle. So this is like actually a 64-ounce jar. I think I'm probably going to tape it shut at some point because this is filled with some stank-ass shit. So basically what you want to do is create like a toxic miasma, like a swamp for the person. And this could be someone who's gossiping, just a really vile person. Like, I would save this spell for very extra special occasions. So I put the candle in this, and if you're using a chime candle, you could use like a pint-sized mason jar or something like that. So once I did that, for the ritual part, if you're working with any different spirits, whether they be demons or protector, like archangels, spirit guides, ancestors, gods, goddesses, deities, whatever, I lit some candles for the 9 demonic gatekeepers, and I have my little Satan candle in the middle. I'll show you. It's actually a really nice candle. I got this from Dark Moon Merchant. I have the Lucifer candle and Belial candle there. They're really nice pillar candles. So I burned the candles for the 9 demonic gatekeepers, including Satan. And I was channeling some sort of hymn. I don't remember the words. Couldn't sing it to you if I tried, but if that's your thing, that's your thing. You don't have to do exactly what I did. So I lit each candle, and as I was finished binding the whole candle, I dripped from each of the candles that I had burning to sort of like seal in that energy, and also the energy of the spirits that I was calling to. So once I got to the jar, and this is sort of, it's almost a combination of like a sour jar and war water. So I filled like maybe about, it's actually kind of heavy. So I filled maybe about here with vinegar, with just white vinegar. And the rest of it's regular water. But I also added some stuff to that water. So what I added, and some of these can be interchangeable. So I just grabbed random things because I was kind of in a in-between state of not really awake and not really asleep. So I grabbed a bottle of damnation oil and powder. Now you could use a traditional binding oil. You could even use something like a domination, commanding and controlling. If you really want to go extreme, you could use a doom oil and powder combination. I added some graveyard dirt, and I added some iron shavings and filings. Those you can get usually online, like magnetic sand, something iron in it, as well as coffin nails. I think I put 3 in, because that's going to get that because that's part of like the war water sort of formulation. So that's going to get like that rusty, that's kind of how the water turns that icky kind of black. In addition to like the dirt and stuff that's in it. I put a snakeskin shed in it, some scorpion powder. Now, scorpion powder you can get at like Botanicas and things like that, or you can use like a dried scorpion. Some black magic websites, or even like Chinese medicine or traditional Chinese medicine sites, you can sometimes get like dried ants or things like that. And speaking of which, I added a little vial of 10 red fire ants. Those are usually used in like a hot foot powder kind of, or hot foot oil. Anything that's spicy or hot is going to kind of like expedite the process. And then I added my favorite ingredient, well, sulfur, because that's used in typically in a lot of binding, banishing, hexing, that a lot of that kind of work. And then I added my least favorite ingredient known to mankind, asafoetida. And just a note on asafoetida, if you happen to have any, or like, oh, I'm going to go out and buy some asafoetida, it is the most disgusting smelling thing I think I have in my house. It's affectionately nicknamed the devil's dung, and it is a rancid, garlicky, sulfuric, fecal, it's like a yellow powder, but the smell of it is just disgusting. But it's really used like a lot for like really extreme banishing. So those were the things I add. And you don't have to add every single thing from this. This was just kind of what I channeled and what I happened to grab off the shelves and stuff, because of like running a business, I have all these things on hand. So, if you don't have a particular oil or a particular powder or stuff, you can substitute different things. Like, if you don't have, like a domination powder or hot foot powder or something like that, you could just add something like chili powder or cayenne pepper or something like that to it to give it that element, that fire kind of element to it. So I haven't sealed the lid yet with electrical tape. I want to do that just so no one ever opens this and then, drops dead of the stank, because it is stinky. War water on its own is just vile. And I added asafoetida to this, so this is like extra vile. So now what I did with this after it was complete is I poured a little bit from each of the candles on top and carved a pentagram into it, from the candles that I was burning during that. Now, what I want to do with this particular ritual and spell is reflect that person's energy back to them. So if they're pushing out that, like, parasitic, psychic vampire, energy thief, or preying on people's emotions and stuff, whatever they're putting out is getting put back to them. So now I made a little mirror box actually I had to make a big mirror box for this. And what I suggest doing for that, because mirror boxes can be really expensive and a lot of times are very small, is you could get packs of these little look at the camera on the other side of the room. They're little, actually the backs peel off because they're meant you could just, put them on the wall. They're not terribly sturdy, but I just sort of put together a mirror box for this. So, I bought like a pack of, I don't know how many I have left, but it was like it was under $20 for, maybe 12 to 20 piece different little mirror things. And, and they're flexible. Like if I drop it on the floor, it's not going to shatter or anything like that. So the last step is you want to take your jar, put it inside the mirror box, because that's going to reflect all that negative toxic energy back at them. And then, seal that up. Now, for storage purposes, you could bury this in the ground, or, in some kind of concealed space. I haven't exactly decided where I want to put this yet, because my backyard probably has like 5-foot high weeds in it right by now. I haven't looked back out there in a little bit. And my basement is currently being worked on, so I don't want to put it someplace when they're repairing the flooring. They're going to be like, what's this? I wonder what's in this jar. So, but that is sort of, and it's not like a lengthy spell kind of thing. I would probably put a note on the outside of this, just in case, I get hit by a bus and someone's cleaning out my house and it's like, oh, what's in this? Don't open. Stanky witchcraft shit. So another thing you could do if you don't want to do the mirror box thing, is you could also wrap it in something reflective like aluminum foil or something like that as well. So you just want something that's going to reflect back to them the energy that they're putting out to try to feed on other people. And, you know, I kind of closed the ritual. You know, I thanked each of the gatekeepers for coming, and, you know, just kind of did, so it is done, and went back to bed, and other things occurred in the you know, channeling process after that, which I will do more videos on. But that is my handy dandy triple, maybe quadruple binding spell. It should be pretty potent. I just did this a few days ago, so yeah. If you have some toxic narcissists, energy parasites, and vampires creating havoc in your life, I highly recommend this. And it was something that I wouldn't have really thought of on my own, because, you know, there's a lot of different binding spells and things like that, you know, that are out there. You know, you can do Google, search them, YouTube, stuff like that. But this one is for a very particular purpose. And hopefully it works well. So let me know what you think. I hope if you have any problems, this might be a solution for you that is a little easier to manage. And yeah, so thank you for watching. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. And thank you to my Patreon supporters. And I will see you guys soon.